Okay, I'll just say it straight. I never played Gran Turismo Sport, but I've been reading articles about what they did. I've been doing a little bit of research about it. I've watched some of my friends, both their live streams, and I've watched my friends play it in person. And damn, all I can say is that GT Sport really shows you how to ruin a masterpiece through crappy business decisions. Again, I haven't bought the game. I've seen people play it right in front of me, but I haven't actually bought this myself, so take this little review with a grain of salt. The footage I'll be showing here will be from Project Cars and my Forza 7 gameplay streams. So I think the mistake with the GT Sport is that they focused way too much on catering to becoming an e-sport. They received special permission from a racing group called the FIA so that their game will have a very special e-sports status. And what they had to do was make the game completely online only to prevent people from cheating and faking their race time. That's fine, but I think that they ended up botching the single player offline experience completely. This is the same mistake that happened with Street Fighter V. In the case with Street Fighter V, they released the game with no single player content. They only released it with a little bit of multiplayer that could be done, and the whole game was just half baked when it was released because they were just making the game for the esports community rather than for both casual and esports people. I used to think, one of my friends was a dumbass because he was so into the niche fighting game kind of video games. I used to say, ha ha ha, look at this guy, Shuriken, that's so stupid. But, when I look at what happened to GT Sport, one of my most beloved franchises, and when I think about how I'm a niche racing game fan, now I understand how he felt when Street Fighter V was released. And man, do I feel like the dumbass now. GT Sport made that exact same mistake. I know that the series has to change because the population changed, this new technology like the internet and stuff. But I think that such a significant change to GT Sport's career mode actually alienates all of the older players. You have to remember that the racing game genre, especially nowadays, it's a very, very weird genre in the video game market. It's a genre that has definitely downsized a lot. And, you'll either see people trying to make extremely realistic simulations or very silly arcade racing games. The problem is that GT Sport doesn't have a proper career mode like the old games used to. I played all of the previous GT games when they were first released, from the original Gran Turismo on the PS1, and I think that was back in 96 or so, 95, 96, and I've played them all. I'll admit 5 and 6 were pretty disappointing, but all of those games at least had good career modes. And if you don't know what I mean by career mode, career mode in Gran Turismo is when you start off with a cheap vehicle, you need to win races, get trophies, get new racing licenses, you get credits, you buy better vehicles, you can upgrade the parts in your vehicles, you can tune them if you bought the appropriate parts, all of that. You can make your own cars how you want to, you can make them drive how you want to, you can customize them for the endurance races, and you keep getting more and more trophies from winning events until you can unlock the final championship. And then when that happens, you beat the final championship, you beat the game, you unlock the credits, and the credits will play over a soundtrack called Moon Over the Castle, which has been a part of all of the previous Gran Turismo games as far as I can remember. You just don't have that anymore with Gran Turismo Sport. Here, okay, let me give you an example as well. They really reduced the tracks list in GT Sport. Because the developers are so much in bed with FIA and esports mentality, they focused on making real world courses for the game, like real life race tracks. So all of the original fictional tracks that you used to see in the old Gran Turismo games that you loved so much? I'll tell you, no more Trial Mountain, no more Grand Valley Speedway, no more High Speed Ring, no more Special Stage Route X, no more Special Stage Route 11, no more Special Stage Route 5, no Deep Forest Raceway, no Apricot Hill Raceway, no Midfield Raceway, no Autumn Ring. Okay, like, if you liked playing the old Gran Turismo games to see some of those kinds of tracks, you don't see those original tracks anymore. All you're gonna see is real life courses like Nürburgring, and don't get me wrong, that's an amazing track, but I mean, I used to like having the diverse and fictional tracks even. I used to like them. I used to think they were part of a staple of the old games. So yeah, I mean, in this GT Sport, there's an arcade mode that you can practice offline, but I mean, well, how should I say? I mean, you can. It has online. The arcade mode forces you to go online. You need a persistent connection to play the arcade mode. But in the arcade mode, I think you can play against yourself, or maybe against the AI. But it still requires you to have a internet connection consistently and persistently. You'll see that this game puts so much of a heavy emphasis on the online play. Rather in the old games, you would get the driving licenses to practice your racing skills and to make sure that you were ready to move on to, like, using faster cars and ready to go on to the more difficult tracks. Now it's like, oh, you have online, like, racing licenses to make sure you have online etiquette. And, of course that's good, but I mean, you're focusing so much online. I don't like playing racing games online that much. You always have to deal with rammers and stuff. And, maybe they made this new licensing system so that there'll be, less people who are going to ram you off the road randomly online. And I know there's going to be a ranking system, so they're going to blacklist people who keep ramming into people and drive like shit. But, I mean, there's lots of downsides to online racing. What if there's people with bad connections? Like, sometimes you just get disconnected from the race. Oh no, like, sometimes people with bad connections, all you see is teleporting cars all over their place, and you can't even help but have someone collide into you, or you colliding into someone else, because all of a sudden they just, like, teleport in front of you, and boom. Why do I hate online racing so much? Well, I mean, what if I just want to race offline against the AI in career mode? I love offline because I can start races anytime. I can pause whenever I want to. If I want to take a big shit, I can pause anytime. I just love career mode so much. Most people, when they play online, if it's in the weekdays, you'll see that most people get log on in the afternoon onwards. And you'll usually see people midday to afternoon and sometimes evenings on the weekends. But what if you have a job that's unusual? What if you work night shift? Then you'll have to play the game in the day, and then, it's gonna be so difficult to find people online during that time. Same if you have a weekend job. If you work on the weekends and have a few days in the weekday off, like, you better get used to waiting. What if you're older now and you have toddlers and kids? Now you can't pause online races and stuff. Of course you can't pause them, but, like, you're gonna lose, and then what if you get a points penalty because it's like, oh, well, we see you're not playing in the races, like, we're gonna penalize you and stuff. And a lot of people will fall into certain demographics where they just can't really play online that much anymore. Yeah, I mean, if I get time to myself once in a while, I'll play online for a round or two, but I don't want a game to be so focused on it. If you're in North America, you'll know that the internet is pretty bad. Many of the cities will have monopolies or duopolies on the internet, so, like, only, like, one or two companies are allowed to, like, sell internet in the entire city or even province or state where you live. And this often leads to very high prices due to not much competition, and it just, you're not getting a bang for your buck. And a lot of the internet in North America, compared to the Asian countries, North America has it so bad. I've dealt with so many international students when I went to school, and, they would be, like, shocked at how crappy North America internet is, especially for the price. I don't recommend this game at all. Like, why couldn't they have just separated it? Okay, let me think about this. Why couldn't they just make a career mode to make other people happy? Like, couldn't they have separated offline and online? Like, at the very beginning, have a menu that just says, oh, here's career mode and here's the multiplayer mode. And if you choose multiplayer mode, then you need persistent online. But if you choose career mode, we'll let you just do that offline. Why not just keep those separate? And, only if you go into multiplayer, then you need the persistent internet connection. Why didn't they do that? Like, is it so much work for them to have made a career mode to make those people happy? You made the content already. Why not just create a few events for offline? Make a couple of AI racers and stuff? Like, I know that this game is one of the first of its kind. I know that being part of esports is an amazing deal, but why couldn't they have just, like separated it or something? Couldn't they have even just like made a different disc or something? Like people waited so long for this game and then they do this kind of shit? So what if you want to play offline? What if you want a nice racing game where you have a nice offline career mode or you could choose offline or online? What do I say? I say you go to Project Cars 2 or you go to Forza. Forza has loot boxes, but who cares? Just don't buy them and just lose the money that they give you during the events. Look into other racing titles as well. There's Assetto Corsa, that's a very fun game as well. If you want to get into rally, play the Dirt series. Play any game that's racing and not Gran Turismo. That's what I say nowadays. Now, a lot of people have been telling me that, GT Sport is a spin-off. It's not a numbered series. It's purposely meant to be different. To which I say they should have been more clear. There's a lot of fans who are busy with life. They don't want to read all these interviews. They don't have time to go on YouTube and, people just want to see a game on the shelf and buy it. They're busy with work life, family life. You don't have time for all of these interviews. You want to know a quote? This is a quote that I found and it is extremely misleading. You listen to this quote. Gran Turismo Sport is actually going to contain more features than any other game in the series to date. Nothing has been dropped, things have only been added. Whether it be campaign mode or offline gameplay or the open lobbies, everything has been raised in quality, and there is more of it, so there is nothing to worry about. Nothing has been dropped. That's the quote. That couldn't be any farther than the truth. That is blatant false advertising at its finest. Don't buy this crap if you like racing. If you're an old racer or a person looking to get into the racing series, you don't play this game unless you live in a place where the internet speeds are actually decent and you actually have a fun time playing online. Like maybe if you have Google Fiber, if you live in one of the Asian countries where it's cheap and affordable and it's actually reliable, then maybe play it. And play this if you really, really play online all day, then maybe play it. But if you're an old timer like me and you wanna just play, relax after a hard days of work, just play a little bit offline and just racing against yourself. You wanna tune up your cars. Don't buy this if you're like me. Stay far away from this. Honestly, I'm gonna be making some more videos about this in the future. I've been actually looking at verified reviews of the people who bought the game on Amazon, and it's just so funny. I think one day I'm just gonna read people's review just to show you how bad this game is. A lot of people are not taking into individual considerations like internet and stuff. You get a lot of really rich reviewers who maybe they have really fancy internet. And they do it for a job, and a lot of the reviews just couldn't be farther from the truth.